Okay, so imagine this. The guy who spends his entire life, we're talking 50 years, building a revolutionary technology, suddenly quits his high-profile job just to warn the world about it. You gotta ask, right? What on earth did he see that we're all missing? What did the Godfather of AI realize that made him sound this massive alarm? Well, let's break it down. And I mean, this isn't some line from a sci-fi movie. That's a direct quote from Dr. Geoffrey Hinton, the man everyone calls the Godfather of AI. And those words, they pretty much kick off what might just be the most important conversation of our lifetime. So, why should we listen to this guy? I mean, why does his opinion carry so much weight? Well, you have to understand, for decades, the main idea in AI was that intelligence was all about logic, hard and fast rules. But Hinton, he was pushing this totally different, almost fringe idea. He was convinced that if you wanted to build real intelligence, you had to copy the human brain. So he championed these things called artificial neural networks, basically systems that could actually learn from data instead of just following a bunch of pre-programmed rules. And for the longest time, I'm telling you, most experts in the field thought he was nuts. They called it a dead end. But he's stuck with it for 50 years. He and his students, they're the ones behind the key breakthroughs that power pretty much all the AI we see today. In fact, Google bought his company back in 2013. But then in 2023, after that entire 50-year journey, he just walked away. He quit. And his reason? So he could finally speak his mind totally freely about the dangers he's now seeing. So what gives? After a whole lifetime dedicated to building this thing, what could possibly change his mind so dramatically? And the thing is, he says it wasn't some slow, creeping doubt. Nope. It was a sudden aha moment, a fundamental realization about the very nature of what he had helped create. For most of his career, Hinton wasn't worried about AI taking over. He thought that was sci-fi stuff, way off in the future. He was just focused on the day-to-day grind of making the systems work just a little bit better. But then he had this eureka moment. He realized there is a massive, fundamental difference between us and them. And this right here, this is the absolute core of his fear. It's all about how we learn versus how they learn. See, we're analog. If I learn something amazing, I have to slowly, painstakingly explain it to you with words, right? But digital intelligences, whoa, they're completely different. One AI can create 1,000 perfect clones of itself. Each clone can go off and learn something new. And then, and this is the kicker, they can instantly merge all that new knowledge together. It's like a hive mind that shares information billions of times faster than we ever could. And when one of their bodies, the hardware, dies, their knowledge doesn't. It's just stored, ready to be put in a new body. They're basically immortal.
Hinton has this great analogy to make the threat feel a little more real. He says to imagine you have a cute little tiger cub. It's fun, it's playful, but you better be damn sure that when it grows up, it never, ever wants to kill you. Because his point is, by the time that tiger decides it wants you gone, it's already way too late.
So, Hinton basically splits the risks into two big buckets. He's really clear about separating the problems we have to deal with right now from the much, much bigger one that he sees coming down the line. Okay, so first you've got the risks from misuse. That's bad people using the AI we already have for bad things. These are the immediate short-term threats. And then second, you got the risk from superintelligence. This is the big one, the existential risk of AI getting so smart, it just decides it doesn't need us around anymore. And that first one, misuse, I mean, this isn't theoretical. It is happening right now. We're talking bad actors using AI for super sophisticated cyber attacks and phishing scams. It can be used to design brand new, dangerous biological viruses. Political campaigns can whip up these hyper-targeted, manipulative ads to sway voters. Social media algorithms are already pushing us into these crazy echo chambers. And yeah, nations are building lethal autonomous weapons. Drones that can decide who lives and who dies all on their own. Now, for that second, bigger risk, superintelligence. This is probably Hinton's most famous warning. His point is just brutally simple.
For all of human history, we've been the smartest things on the planet, right? The apex intelligence. We have absolutely no clue what it's like to not be the smartest. We have no idea what it's like to be, well, the chicken. So when people push him for a number, Hinton gives his best gut estimate. He figures there's about a 10 to 20% chance that superintelligence will wipe out humanity. I mean, think about that. It's not a guarantee, obviously, but a 1 in 5 or 1 in 10 chance of total extinction? That's a truly shocking number, especially coming from the guy who knows this tech better than almost anyone alive. Okay, so putting aside the whole end of humanity thing for a second, there's a much more immediate concern that hits all of us right where we live, our jobs. And Hinton is convinced this technological revolution is totally different from anything we've ever seen before. See, Hinton argues that the Industrial Revolution was all about replacing human muscle. We got tractors and assembly lines, but the AI revolution? This is about replacing the human brain, specifically all that routine, mundane intellectual work that a lot of us do all day. So when someone asked him what people should train for now, his advice was just incredibly blunt. He said, train to be a plumber. And why a plumber? Because right now, jobs that need you to physically move around and interact with the real, messy world are way harder to automate than a lot of white-collar desk jobs. And that's a pretty stark warning for anyone whose job is basically mundane intellectual labor. Think paralegals, writers, you name it. But look, it's not all doom and gloom on the job front. There's another side to this coin. Just like every other big tech shift in history, this one isn't just about destroying jobs. It's also creating brand new ones we can't even imagine yet. The key, as always, isn't to fight it, but to adapt and figure out where the new opportunities are. So for example, check out this new role that's popping up, the AI operator. Now, this isn't a job for a coder. It's a job for someone who's really good with processes, like a top-tier project manager. Their job is to be the shepherd for the AI inside a business. They define what the AI should be doing, manage its work, and make sure it's on track. It's a completely new, really valuable career that's basically the human bridge between big picture strategy and what the machine actually does. All of this, though, it brings us to a massive looming question. If the risks are so incredibly high, I mean everything from job loss all the way to extinction, why on earth are we hitting the accelerator instead of the brakes? It's the question everyone's thinking, right? Why don't we just stop? Take a pause. It sounds so simple, but Hinton is really clear on this point. A global halt is pretty much impossible. There are just too many powerful forces pushing this thing forward. First, the benefits are just too huge to ignore. Think about what it could do for healthcare or education. Then you've got this intense competition between countries like the US and China. And then you've got the insane competition between the big tech companies themselves. The profit motive is a powerful driver, and they're practically required to go as fast as they can. And maybe most importantly, even when we do get regulations, they almost always have a little loophole that exempts the military. So yeah, the race is on, and nobody wants to get left behind. So after he lays out all these incredible dangers and explains why it's basically impossible to stop, an interviewer finally asked him the one question that was left hanging in the air. The one we're all thinking. And his answer might just be the most chilling part of this whole story. He doesn't say he's hopeful. He doesn't say he's pessimistic. He just says, I'm agnostic. He genuinely does not know if we're going to figure this out. He says some days he feels optimistic, and other days he thinks, quote, people are toast. And that's where we're left. The man who poured his entire life into making this technology a reality, he can't tell us if it's going to be our salvation or our extinction. He says the best thing we can do is put massive pressure on our governments to force these companies to pour resources into safety research. But his uncertainty, it just hangs there in the air. It's a profound and incredibly urgent question for every single one of us. What do we do now?